Tuscaloosa.
Once again with Christian Miller taking him down.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with New York Giants legend and South Carolina Hall of Famer Corey Miller and his son, four-time SEC champion and two-time national champion Christian Miller.
And knocked down again. That was Christian Miller.
Here is college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Victory Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts. Hope everybody had a great weekend in terms of sports. If you're an Alabama fan, I think you should have had a pretty solid weekend. On the heels of Thanksgiving, we had the Iron Bowl. Alabama goes on the road. Jordan-Hare Stadium takes care of business, somewhat narrowly escapes 27-20 victory over the Auburn Tigers, leading them to where we'll be this upcoming weekend. Atlanta be heading back to hot Atlanta, taking on the Georgia Bulldogs after Texas A&M dropped their season finale to Texas, right? Arch Manning and those guys getting the job done. And that means we will be facing the Georgia Bulldogs in the SEC Championship game this weekend. Plenty to talk about there. We're going to break down the Iron Bowl. I know there's plenty of thoughts with that, right? Overall, solid performance, some good, definitely some really good, right? I can think of, one guy in particular for sure who had himself a hell of a game that really, definitely a couple guys, but there's one guy that's definitely popping in my mind, a good friend of our show, Bray Hubbard. Shout out to him, definitely getting a game ball from us and others. So we got plenty of good to talk about, a little bit of bad and maybe a tiny bit of ugly here and there. And we're going to discuss all that, dive into all that here in a little bit. We're going to discuss this SEC Championship matchup. Again, we're very familiar with this team. We played them earlier in the season on the road at their place. Now we're going to Atlanta, where they're going to be looking to get some revenge, and we're going to be looking to put these guys out for good. And I say for good, but is that really true, though, Chase, Reed? Probably not. Why? Well, one would assume that regardless of the outcome of this game, Georgia probably still will be in the college football playoffs. And if we win the game, we definitely will be in there, which means there could be a trilogy all in 1 year, which would be absolutely nuts. But that's the state of college football, right? And if anybody's been paying attention to the news over the weekend, the state of college football is in a very interesting spot. Fired, hired, fired, hired, fired, hired has been pretty much the theme over the weekend. Lane Kiffin still in the show. All the attention on him in this situation, which we'll talk plenty about it. I've got plenty of thoughts there. Sounds like it ended up being a pretty messy breakup. Now, I know we've been talking about it over the last couple of weeks. The speculation's been there. I think everybody kind of saw the writing on the wall. There's a good chance that Lane was, in fact, leaving, but I don't think people anticipate it being this messy. It's inevitable, but we're going to have to talk about it. I mean, it's literally the biggest topic in college football right now, so I definitely want to get y'all's thoughts on that, on everything. I want to get y'all's thoughts on the Iron Bowl. I want to get y'all's thoughts on playing Georgia for a second time in the SEC Championship game, and I definitely want to get y'all's thoughts on the Lane situation, but not just Lane, but also everything else that's coming with it, right? Shout out to Pete Golden. A lot of people, I know a lot of Bama fans might not feel the same way I feel. I was coached by Pete. I know him very well, right? He was a really solid dude. Still is. I love this for him. He, if you guys didn't know, I'm sure you do, but he actually was promoted to full-time head coach with the departure of Lane Kiffin, so he will take over as Ole Miss's head coach starting now. So he'll lead these guys into the playoffs, and he'll continue as head coach moving forward after that as well. So I'm really excited for him, not just him, but there's a lot of people on that staff actually that have, ties to Alabama that I, have ties to and that I know. And I'm really excited for the opportunity that those guys have over there. And I think Pete's going to do a really good job, and I'm excited to see how everything plays out there. But there's plenty to talk about. I mean, I feel like the college football world right now, Chase, Reed, is literally on fire, and it's not necessarily in a good way, but in terms of having stuff to talk about, well, we've got plenty to do with that. Not to mention, you've got signing day in 2 days. I believe it's this Wednesday, right? The 3rd, which is kind of crazy. We're at the point now where, like, signing day used to be this big ordeal. Everybody would be gearing up to it, and maybe there still is some attention on signing day. Definitely is, but not nearly the same amount as there was prior, right? Before NIL, before the transfer portal. I mean, signing day was like a holiday. I feel like at this point, it just seems like it hasn't been the same. And part of the reason I say that is I forgot it was signing day, and so I just saw a post earlier that said signing day is coming up. I think part of it too, Chase Reed. I think nowadays when you have these guys doubling down on their commitments and partnering with the collective to put out these posts saying we're locked in 100%, like shutting things down. I mean, it somewhat, I wouldn't say it takes away the excitement in a good way though. I mean, not really as worried about these guys, but there's not as much, I guess, I don't know, action going on, so to speak. Who knows? I guess there still could be. We did have a guy decommit, and then literally like 12 hours later, he recommitted and said he's signing. At this point, I'll be honest with you guys. You guys know, I don't really keep up recruiting like that. If you guys ask me to look up a player, we definitely will do that for you. But whoever signs here, man. We roll with what we got. I think that's a good lesson to learn in this day and age. That said, plenty to talk about. We'll discuss it. And there's plenty of media to listen to respond to react to. You've got Kalen DeBoer and Kirby Smart teleconference that took place yesterday evening. Those are a little bit longer. So I will say, I don't know if we'll get to all of those. Maybe we'll listen to part of it. But I do know that head coach Kalen DeBoer did detail some things, some key facts that we definitely need to discuss, some injury updates. We'll dive into that when we get into the Iron Bowl breakdown. But there were a couple guys banged up in that game, some guys that went into that game already banged up, and some guys that didn't play in that game. We've got some updates on that. We'll give you guys that because I think that will be important, something to pay attention to in this matchup this weekend, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you guys want to get in on any of these topics, if it feels like there's a million of them, 205-342-9904 is the number. We'd love to hear from you. Plus, you can always come hang out with us on the stream here on YouTube at The Miller's Edge, completely free. All we do is ask you drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Real simple. Or you can always check us out on Facebook on the Tide 100.9 page as well. We also stream there. You can drop your comments, interact with the chat, watch me do the show, watch us play all the clips and videos, all the good stuff right here. But don't forget about that Tide 100.9 app, completely free as well. Allows you to listen to all shows wherever you are, no matter if that's in the U.S., outside the U.S., wherever. You can listen to all the shows there. So download that Tide 100.9 app, where you can also easily call in with the click of a button or drop your questions, comments, concerns as an app message or leave a voice message. You also can do that too. We can play it live on air. That being said, we're going to hit our first timeout. We come back. We'll dive into all these things. We'll either start with Lane. We'll start a little bit with the Iron Bowl. Maybe we'll do a little bit of both. But we're going to talk about something. All that on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store. America's Arch Support Experts. Don't forget about our friends over there. Make sure you guys check them out if you're dealing with any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, back pain, hip pain, you name it. They take care of it, clinically proven to do so. In 4 short weeks, you just pop these inserts in your shoes and they get to work. No matter if they're boots, heels, tennis shoes, running shoes, Nike, Adidas, doesn't matter. They all work and they all take away that pain. So make sure you guys check them out. Midtown Village here in Tuscaloosa is where you find them, or you can go to their website, find the nearest location to you, goodfeet.com, that is. And they've got plenty of information and videos and all that good stuff as well. So you got to check them out, or walk-ins are welcome. Schedule an appointment as well on the website, goodfeet.com. That is the Good Feet Store, improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time, like we try to do for you guys, 2 hours at a time. Quick time out. We'll be right back. What's up, guys? How was y'all's weekend, man? We got plenty to dive into, so feel free to light up the comment section, man. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on everything, because I mean, there's so much to talk about. So please, man, fill me in. Let me know what you guys think about Lane, SEC championship game. I mean, we're gonna dive in all that stuff and try to play some stuff too. I know we got to probably show a little bit of, I'm not gonna say love necessarily, but we gotta take a look over on Auburn's side of things briefly, because they did just hire a new head coach as well, and that is important. And I do want to talk about that as well, about the fit there and what I think about that. So we'll do all that hopefully within the next 2 hours. But we got all week too, so we got plenty of time. So we'll definitely try to hear from that. Let's see who we got in here. Jake, what's up, man? What a football weekend. Agree Ole Miss wouldn't have let him coach either. Yeah, I want to get y'all's thoughts on that, because I have a whole bunch of thoughts, man. I was tapped into AJ and Trent. They're on their live with the Dynasty thing last night, and AJ was talking about a lot of stuff that he had been hearing from some folks over there. Again, I mean, they have a lot of former Bama folks over. Well, I guess they did. They still do. Matter of fact, one of my former teammates, Stephon Wynn, who's also from South Carolina, he's an analyst over there. But they've got a number of folks. Hell, Joe Judge, Bama ties. Pete Golden, Charlie Weiss, I believe, was here when Lane was here. Looks like he might have boarded that plane. Them people were at the airport mad, man. I'll say this in terms of the whole Lane thing, and I'm curious what y'all think, but I'm not mad at Lane for taking the job, right? Look, we're in a day and age where you got transfer portal. I mean, coaches were already leaving anyway. But, I mean, if a coach feels like there's another opportunity there that he feels like is better for him, his family, whatever the case may be. I mean, even though I don't like the fact that coaches are just up and leaving like that, because I don't like it for the players, even though they do at least get permitted that window to leave. But still, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's part of it. That said, I think the way everything transpired is the biggest issue. You know what I mean? How many times y'all former players are going to tell fans that Pete Golden is actually a damn good coach? Well, again, I mean, it's no different than all the people that were telling me like repeatedly how Jam was like the worst running back they've ever seen. Then he literally had a great Iron Bowl. He returned to form. That's why I never gave up on the dude, because I mean, I know he's a damn good football player. You don't just magically just start playing like trash. I mean, you can have slumps. I mean, Ryan Williams a little bit in the slump, but you know, there's a reason he's still out there. I mean, everybody's calling, you know, the backup's always the best guy, right? I'm just, you know, the AK Deer situation. But at the end of the day, man, Jam's still a really good player, and we saw that at this Iron Bowl. Oh, damn, we're already back. I'm over here just talking. And welcome back into this Victory Monday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. Guys, where do we start, man? Where do we start? Literally, I mean, there's like a million topics to talk about, which I'm not complaining. That's a good problem to have. Let's do this. Let's start with the Iron Bowl, since that's fresh. We'll have plenty of time to talk about Lane. I know I really want to dive into that, and I'm sure you guys have plenty of thoughts there too. But let's start with the Iron Bowl, just because that's you know, fresh, that's recent, and it's important to us, right? That's our big rivalry game. We were talking about it. We knew that we needed to win that game to keep everything alive in front of us, and we in fact did that. Me and my partner Gray Robertson, we broke it down on our post-game show. It was damn late. I'm not gonna lie, Chase Reed, I was sitting there almost dozing off, because by that time, man, I feel like I was going all day. Then the game itself. And then you're talking about it up to, you know, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. But it was fun, man. It's a blessing to do that. But anyway, that said, I gave my thoughts then, and let me echo those with you guys that didn't get to stay up that late. 27-20 victory over Auburn. We didn't have anybody get the score predictions right, but I feel like everybody was kind of in that realm. I feel like everybody was pretty close, which is you know, shout out to all our folks, man. We got ball knowers on this show, so that's awesome to see. Let's start with the offense, guys. I'll say this: some good, some bad. I don't know if I would call too much ugly necessarily, but let's just say this: I was hoping Ty would have that kind of return to form game. Did he have that? Not necessarily, no. But he definitely played a decent game. And the reason I say decent is you look at the numbers, 19-35, only 122 yards. Did have those 3 touchdowns, which were great plays. I mean, the one falling on his back foot, he's facing pressure. I mean, drops it. I mean, it's a dime in the breadbasket to Isaiah Horton. So, and shout out to Horton. You know, speaking of him, game ball definitely goes to Isaiah Horton here. But I thought Ty played pretty solid, right? Now, he took some shots. He showed that grit. I mean, he got back up. He was jawing a little bit. That was the energy. Remember, guys, I kept saying I want to see some more of that fire, that passion, kind of like what we saw against Georgia. I feel like that started coming back to life, and you expect that, right? This is an Iron Bowl. This is a rivalry game. But there are a couple things here and there that, you know, definitely could have been better, could have been cleaned up. But still, to me, you know, the most important thing was he protected the football. He did have one that was almost picked off, but luckily, you know, they dropped it, which that was a theme for them, especially on the offense side of the ball. I mean, those dudes couldn't catch a cold to save their life. But anyway, Ty did have 3 touchdowns, right? Did what he needed to do to lead this team to victory. So while it wasn't a perfect performance, you can't complain when you got a guy that's just out there just giving it what he has, man. He's continuously fighting, taking shots, getting back up, and making plays when those plays are needed. You talk about some of those second effort plays too. Like I think it was like that 4th down. He's scrambling and he's fighting for those extra yards, man. He did a great job at, those intangible type things, right? Just being a great leader, being a fighter, and making plays when we need him to. So shout out to him. Again, wasn't like that necessarily, I guess, massive comeback game, but again, solid performance, especially given the past few weeks, being in a little bit of a rut. I think what impressed me the most, guys, our ability to run the football in this game. And I asked Clint last week, I said, what do you think about that? And we talked about it. Well, it's going to be a little tough. You talk about Auburn's defense. They've got one of the best rushing defenses in the country. They've got some dudes up front. I told you guys about 24. There wasn't as much talk about 24, more so about 15, who also is a damn good player. But I was watching 24 on tape, and I'm like, man, that guy can get after the quarterback. That said, we ran the ball really well. We had 158 yards on the ground. Jam Miller went for 83 before leaving the game with an injury. Looked kind of like a high ankle sprain to me, which if that's the case, I don't expect him to play this weekend, especially being a running back. I know we talked about Tim Keenan doing the tightrope and coming back a little soon, but there's a big difference between cutting and planting and doing all those things at the running back position than being a big nose tackle where your feet are a little bit more grounded and you're not required to do so much change of direction. So I don't know for sure if it's a high ankle. I'm just saying it kind of looked like that to me, especially with the crutches. If it's a normal ankle sprain, I don't think they would have that much for him. But who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I thought he played well in this game. Daniel Hill also had 11 carries, 39 yards. Ty Simpson had 10 carries for 31 yards. I think one thing that either they listened to me and my dad mention it on our show, or they realized that Ty scrambling a little bit, getting him on the ground helps open things up a little bit too. But he also had 10 carries in this game. That said, running the football was exactly what we needed to do. We always talk about that. When you play on the road, man, you got to find a way to run the football, right? It's one of the most important factors of being the away team, and we found a way against a really good defense. So you got to tip your hat to the offense. The guys up front, I thought they did a solid job. I think we gave up 3 sacks, but for the most part, I thought we did pretty good. We did face some pressure. Auburn going into the game, they weren't a team that pressured. I mean, I would say they probably pressured at an average rate, but this game I feel like we saw a little bit more. They watch a lot of tape and understand having Ty Simpson under duress is probably one of the better game plans that you can have. So we saw some pressure and they had some success, but overall, man, I thought our guys up front did a solid job. Other thing about the offense, we were missing Cuevas. We got to see Pritchett in there. Edwards, I thought they did all right. I think who was it? I think Pritchett might have had a drop or so, but listen, to not have Cuevas in there wasn't as bad as I was thinking it probably could have been. So that was always something I was going to pay attention to. But I think the bigger story offensively, guys, everybody's been talking about, and we'll talk about this also later. It's another story that we probably need to discuss. While Isaiah Horton was, the man of the hour, 3 touchdowns, only 35 yards, he had 5 receptions, but those 3 touchdowns, which were huge in this game. Ryan Williams, on the other hand, had 0 targets. And I think that was like the first time he had not 1 target. It's one thing to not have any receptions, but to have no targets, man, that definitely was a little interesting. It has a lot of people questioning some things, so maybe we'll discuss that later on. But the only thing I would say that I'll add offensively, man, we're just missing that explosive playability, like that deep shot ability. I know we had, was it Bernard? Ty just missed him, man. If this offense could find a way, and I know this is asking them to pretty much be perfect, but I'm just telling you guys, this offense would be so much better if we had a consistent running game and if we connected on those deep shots, on those explosive plays. I mean, this offense would be like operating at like its peak. The running game's starting to come around, but we're not really hitting on a bunch of explosive plays. And personally, I feel like we got to find a way. We got the skill guys, man. Tying those guys, they have to get that connection because there's opportunities that are there, and unfortunately, we're just not hitting on them. Last thing I'll say about the offense, real quick, is play calling had me scratch my head a little bit, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a couple of times, and I hate being that guy calling out coaches or anything, but this is my honest opinion, right? And there's a reason they get paid to do it and not me. But just a couple times, man, it feels like sometimes we get too cute, right? Offensively, when it's short yardage situation and we're either taking a shot or we're trying to do something gimmicky. I just wish that we could try to just really just lean into those plays and just fight for those yards and instead of trying to get too cute. I think sometimes we have these opportunities in the game to, like, for example, we were up like 17-0, and I feel like didn't we go to like a trick play like to open a drive or something like that? Like I and maybe the thought process, because I understand there's different perspectives. Maybe it's, hey, they might be expecting a conservative play call. Let's try to element of surprise here, hit a shot, boom, whatever the case may be. But to me, I'm just like, sometimes I think simplicity would be a lot better, and I feel like we just kind of get away from just what we do well, just like Slade came on here and mentioned, you know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. That's maybe just me nitpicking, but that was just another comment that came to mind. The only other thing that I will mention in terms of play calling is some of these, like, mesh routes or even slants and things like that. I don't feel like we see a whole bunch of those. I feel like when we were playing, that was something Lane drew up a lot. We had a lot of success with guys like Judy and Waddle and Ruggs. I mean, I feel like we have the skill guys, man. I think some of those quick, easy opportunities would be good. Even Brooks. I mean, I feel like we have the personnel to do that stuff. We just don't see a whole bunch of it. But again, I'm not trying to be that guy criticizing play calling. Those are just my thoughts. I think sometimes we get a little too cute instead of just lining up and playing some football. We got good players, man. Just let those guys do what they do and make plays. The only other thing pertaining to play calling that I want to bring up is the decision to go for late in the game when, we're marching down the field. It's 4th and 2. We're like inside the 10-yard line. It's a chip shot field goal. And shout out to Talty. He was perfect. 5 of 5, 2 for 2 on his field goal attempts. First one being 45 yards with a lot of wind going against him, I believe. And then also he was perfect on his PATs, but wanted to give him credit as well. Great way to respond, man. And he seemed like he just was knocking him down and just carrying himself. He wasn't doing them. He just was handling his business, man. So shout out to him. That was good to see. That said, a lot of people were kind of like excited and boasting about the decision to go for it because, again, it worked out, and I get that. And this is probably what makes Kalen DeBoer very successful as a coach that goes in to these ranked games. I know this one ranked, but in these big situations ends up to typically have success. He's aggressive, and it typically works out for him. And so I'm not knocking his decision, but I will say I was probably one of the few people that I question that a little bit more. To me, that was a little bit too aggressive, only given the fact that you're talking about a chip shot field goal. In this situation, Talty has been great. It's not like he was giving you a reason to have concerns. And I heard DeBoer in the press conference talk about, they have confidence in their guys. I mean, to go pick up 2 yards. But to me, it was a little like contradicting because it's like, I mean, then why are we doing all these trick plays and things like that when we are in other short yardage situations earlier in the game? Anyway, but that was his decision to go for it. Ended up working out. But Chase Reed, I couldn't help from, my standpoint of just looking at it like, if you choose to go for it, they're not get it. You got faith that the defense will get a stop, get the ball back again, and they get another opportunity. But I'm like, man, if you choose to go for it there, instead of taking the easy chip shot, which you just said you got faith in the defense, we'll just take the chip shot. Know your defense will get a stop. You'll get the ball back, and you just kneel it out. I can totally see a world where if you miss that, or if you go for it and you don't get that, everybody's celebrating because we get it. But imagine a world where he takes that aggressive. I mean, because we're talking about all the marbles are on the line. If you lose this football game, we're not playing this weekend and we're not in the playoffs. That's why I think it was a little too aggressive for me. I'm just being on that again, but I don't get paid. I'm not criticizing anybody. Those are just my thoughts. I'm curious what y'all think. But to me, I'm just taking the points in that situation, knowing that I trust my defense to get a stop. Because if you get too aggressive there and you don't have success and you lose because of that, I'm just telling you right now, people around not just the state of Alabama, but all Alabama fans, that could have gone bad, but it went good. So that's all that matters. Real quick, because I'm going long. We hit special teams. We hit plenty of offense. Just want to give out some game balls on the defense. Thought defense did solid. We definitely gave up yards. It was kind of funny. This game kind of mimicked Oklahoma, but the other way around, if you look at it right. I mean, Auburn, they outgained us, right? I mean, they had like 400 I think total yards, they had 259 receiving yards. They had 152 rushing yards. Ashton Daniels, hey, man, I want to give him respect, man. He played a good game, 18 to 39, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But to be fair, man, his guys, again, couldn't catch to save their life. I mean, we got a lot of breaks because, I mean, these dudes were dropping everything. However, I want to give credit to our secondary because we were playing really aggressive, very physical, not just with our pass breakups, but even in our run support, man. Just watching our guys fly down and make physical tackles, attack blocks. That's the difference, right? I talked about the linebacker play being different, even seeing that from our secondary. That's what I was describing week 1 that we did not see against Florida State. Guys were just catching, waiting, watching everybody else. That has changed. We're seeing guys violently come downhill, strike guys, take on guys, hat on a hat, and go make plays, right? Game ball, number 1 on defense, we're going to give it to Bray Hubbard. 2 big turnovers in this game. The last one to seal the deal, right? Cam Coleman, catches that screen. He makes a guy miss. They're marching on the field. They're trying to tie the game up. Well, Bray Hubbard, man, who can you count on to come force a turnover when you need it, man? That guy, Bray Hubbard. He's going to find a way. Hat on the football, gets the ball out. Deontay Lawson recovers it. Game over, man. Plus, he had the interception earlier when they also were marching down the field as well. So shout out to him. He gets a game ball. Xavier Brown gets a game ball. I mean, Cam Coleman is one of the best receivers in the country. Very talented guy. He didn't have an opportunity to display too much in this football game because Xavier Brown was on him, and it's not like he just happened to be matched up on him. It's not like they did that intentionally, but any opportunity, man, Xavier Brown displayed why he is one of the better cornerbacks in the country and probably why he's going to be one of the top draft picks when he is eligible. 5 reception, only 43 yards, no touchdowns for Cam Coleman. So really impressive stuff by Xavier Brown. Malcolm Simmons, their receiver, had a pretty solid game, but I think Dijon Lee still played solid. I think there was that one that he gave up that long touchdown or long reception. But outside of that, I thought our secondary did a pretty solid job. And from a upfront perspective, I thought we did pretty good. Now I know their quarterback ended up rushing for over 100 yards. He did have a long of 20 on the ground, but for the most part, I thought we did pretty good, especially given that, I mean, the guy had 23 carries. So, I mean, he's going to have some yards. I mean, you're expecting that because that's literally the way they play offense, quarterback design, run. He's going to scramble. But I thought for the most part, we did a solid job, especially early on. I mean, I think we started the game with like 3 and outs. We talked about on Friday. You expect them to make some plays. It's the Iron Bowl. It's a rivalry game. You're going to give some stuff up. But at the end of the day, man, it's the most important thing is finding a way to get those stops. And we did that. They had some explosive plays on us. But again, it's the Iron Bowl. Can't be too picky at all. So that being said, that's my breakdown for the 27-20 victory over the Auburn Tigers. Never going to complain about an Iron Bowl win, whether it's by 1 or whether it's by 100, man, especially going on the road. Shout out to Kalen DeBoer. He was emotional post-game, just proud of his guys for everything that they've accomplished, man. They've had one hell of a schedule, and they've battled adversity, and they continue to fight. And, you can clearly see, man, he loves his guys. He loves his program. So shout out to him. Getting his first victory over Auburn in the Plains, right? So that was really cool to watch, man. Nice way to cap off our Thanksgiving week/weekend. Now we know everything in front of us. On the road to Atlanta this weekend, right? Got Georgia coming up. We got what's hopefully going to be a playoff spot waiting for us. Again, we'll discuss that later on in the week. I'll get Gray Robertson back on the show. He'll give us some updates after we get the rankings on Tuesday. But speaking of Auburn, we got to mention this, though. They found the replacement for Hugh Freeze. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. And we'll talk about this whole Lane Kiffin situation because that's taking college football by storm. All that and more coming up right here on the Miller's Edge. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
Visit Boot.
Auburn also dropped a ton. Yeah, listen, I know people might get frustrated, but I'm just honest on the show. I mean, they did have a lot of drops. But to be fair, I would say a number of them were, contributed some tight coverage, guys, getting in there. But they did, man. They had a number of guys that were just open that just dropped the football, man. They just – I don't know. I don't know if the moment was too big for them or what, but I'm not complaining. Bad angles by Lee and Mincy on yeah, those again, and that's why I said, to me, defense plays solid. You look at the numbers, and that's why I tell you guys, you can't just read box scores and go, oh, this is how we did. That's why I didn't like that when everybody was just saying that about Oklahoma, like, oh, well, we did this in the box score. I'm like, yeah, we did that. And yes, the turnovers were the biggest thing, but they also forced those turnovers. It's not like, it's, oh, we just threw a bad throw. Like, no, they did a lot to do that. You look at this game, that's why you can't look too much at the box score and, having too much of an opinion. Like defense, I thought played solid. Gave up those explosives like that one long touchdown to Simmons for, like you said, QD, exactly, bad angles. That's the only thing with Mincy, man. I like Mincy, but he I feel like he's a little stiff, but he is a bigger guy, so I guess it's kind of expected, but he's a little stiff. I wouldn't mind seeing him work a little bit more down close to the line of scrimmage, like almost in like that role, like you talk about, almost like a linebacker safety hybrid role. Because he's a big guy, Thought we were about to blow their ass out. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like we have opportunities to really go up on people, and we just don't. So, some told me, even though we went up, 17? Did we go up 17-0? Did I remember that correctly? Before they scored? I can't remember if they scored before it was whatever, but 7-point spread was spot on. I don't know, man. Maybe Kalen DeBoer was looking at the lines when he decided to go for it. I'm kidding. I don't think that at all. You're right, though, QD. Take those explosives away, and yeah, exactly. We're up to 17. Then you start laying eggs. But see, I feel like that's a common theme, though. That's kind of why I lean into some of the decisions in terms of like play calling offensively, because I just feel like sometimes we just, and it's not always that, but I feel like sometimes there's just some things where I'm just like, why are we calling that right now? But I'm not going to be that guy. Simpson touch seemed off. Hard throws to jam on the wheel. Edwards on third downs. Yeah, that's why I said he wasn't perfect, but hey, I mean, the throws he did make that we need him to make, I'm not complaining one bit, man. That's why I said I wouldn't call it a complete like comeback game like I was necessarily maybe hoping for, but I'm never going to complain, right? And it might sound like nitpicking, but we're just being totally honest. But I definitely still think he played relatively good. Just still kind of working back from that little, I guess, rut, if you want to call it that. A lot of those explosive plays are busted plays. True. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing really protecting the football. Oh, they're playing Alex Gold's press conference. Yeah, we might. Yeah, we can do that. I wish we could do like just a few minutes. Maybe we'll do that. Since Auburn hired Alex Golich, I'm sure you guys are aware that we'll probably play a little bit of his press conference. We won't play it too long, but I think it is important, given that he's the new head coach of our in-state rival, that we hear a little bit from that press conference. So we'll probably do that. Probably top of the hour. I do want to get these phone calls, catch up on that too. We just probably going to have to be quick and with our calls. If you guys are just tuning in, man, if you guys don't mind, man, we always got to remind you, just hit that like button. That always helps us out. This helps push the algorithm, all that stuff. And welcome back into this Victory Monday edition of the Miller's Edge. Time 100.9, 1230. WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Other two guys I forgot to mention on the defensive side. Deontay Lawson led the team in tackles. Had a very good showing for him. I love that for him. Final Iron Bowl. I know he talked about being an Auburn fan growing up, and going out on that note was awesome. But then James Smith, man, he was real active in the game as well. So I thought we had a number of guys play some good ball. That said, let's kind of just segue into some of these other notes. If you guys still have any questions or talking points about Auburn, we got plenty of time. We'll do that for sure. But I do want to bring these points back up. The Lane Kiffin situation. Alex Golich has been hired as the new head coach at Auburn. So we'll probably hear a few minutes of his press conference. I feel like it's important to kind of hear what he has to say, right? Which I'll just give you my initial thoughts real quick. I think it's a good hire for those guys. I know some people were a little critical of maybe, his resume and feeling like, he hadn't really done anything crazy. And I get if you go off of that. But I think from a fit perspective, I'll say this: Auburn historically has always, leaned into that dual threat quarterback type of offense. Well, he does really well with that. You look at what he's done with Byron Brown at USF, his ability to take that Tennessee offense, where he was the former offensive coordinator, bring it there and kind of, manipulate it a little bit, do some things with it. I think it's a really good fit for them, personally. Like, I think it's a good hire. I know some people are kind of, but I think it's a solid hire. Now, does that mean it's going to work out? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think anybody can sit here in today's day and age and completely say that any hire is going to be a home run hire anymore, because you got about 2 years to prove yourself. And if you're not like in the college football playoffs in 2 years, I mean, see ya, sayonara. I mean, you're gone. So, but with all that said, I think he's got a chance to be successful there. And it's going to be interesting, man. So we'll probably hear from him in a little bit to get his thoughts coming up. But I'm just thinking in my head, I mean, the quarterback we just played, they redshirted him. They probably plan on having him next year. I think he's a great fit for an Alex Golesh type offense. Even Deuce Knight, I mean, perfect fit. I know some people are saying, oh, well, the receivers. Listen, man, any good play caller, I know people can talk about a certain type of offense. Oh, it might not necessarily tailor to those guys. Listen, any play caller, man, they'll find ways to make their guys successful or put them in, successful situations. That said, I still wouldn't be shocked if we see Cam Coleman end up transferring, but who knows, man? It's kind of the whole part of it. But there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to have a lot of guys transferring because the SEC is on fire right now. Are we up to 6 new head coaches, or is it still 5? I thought I saved it. I might have saved it on my personal Twitter. But this is what I'll say: it's a mess right now. But if you're in the market for some new players via the transfer portal, I mean, it's like Black Friday going on in the SEC right now. I mean, if you think about it, guys, you got LSU players, you got Ole Miss players, you got Arkansas players, you got Auburn players. I mean, all these guys are pretty much going to be sitting there. Kentucky now, they just fired Stoops. I mean, it's mayhem right now. But the biggest deal about all that is Lane Kiffin, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit because I've got plenty of thoughts there. Yeah, here it is. I was on my other account. Here are all the new coaches, and I'll try to throw this on the screen real quick, that have now been hired in the SEC. You've got Alex Golesh taking over at Auburn. You've got Ryan Silverfield taking over at Arkansas. You've got John Sumrall hired by Florida. Lane Kiffin, obviously, making his way to Baton Rouge. And you've got my guy Pete Golden being promoted to head coach at Ole Miss. And there's still the Kentucky job that is now available. We'll wait and see kind of how that ends up going. So I don't know. I guess that leads me to the other thing. Do you guys have any concerns that there could be some potential, I guess, more potential Bama staffers on the move? You always expect to probably have a couple here or there, even if it's like smaller, staffers that might not necessarily be like actual assistants. But you got, Jamarcus Shepard being hired by Oregon State. He's already taken a number of guys. That was the other thing I forgot to mention. It looks like he's already brought along with him 3 staffers. Nobody that I think you guys are going to be, too upset about. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way at all. I just mean nobody to make some huge dent in the coaching staff. But so far, from what I've seen, Aaron Hodges, who was like director of player personnel here, helped out with recruiting. He'll be going with Coach Shepard as general manager. Torrey Gill, who was an assistant to the receivers coach, he's also going as the receivers coach. And then Mitch Dolan, quarterback and co-offensive coordinator. Those are the 3 members so far from this current staff that have been hired by Jamarcus Shepard to go with him to Oregon State. However, according to Kalen DeBoer, I want to say that everything is expected. Those guys, everybody will be here during the whole postseason run. I think that's already agreed upon, understood, which is good. So you don't have to worry about that. I know some people are, a little frustrated with Coach Shepard initially. Like, why would he take it now? Well, he got a head coaching opportunity. You kind of got to go ahead and do that. It's part of it. Signing day is this week. You got to get the ball rolling. The good news is he's going to be here to coach his guys, and then he'll end up making that transition, which is nice. So we got to hit another timeout. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update on all that and kind of segue into what we're going to do. And then when we come back, we'll kick things off on the phone lines, 205-342-9904. I want to get y'all's thoughts on some stuff. Hour number 2, we'll hear a little bit from Alex Golesh. We'll continue to talk about this. I've got plenty of thoughts on the Lane situation. I want to dive into that. But I want to make sure we catch up on the phone line since I've been talking a lot this hour. So we'll do that when we come back right on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Happy for Shep. Yeah, man. I mean, excuse me, he's earned it, man. Good coach. You know, he's been getting some attention for quite some time. So it's part of it. I am curious to see who they could end up hiring as receiver coach. I think it was Marquise Mays putting his bid in there to and Julio co-coach, I guess. Chad Johnson was saying if someone needed a receiver coach. I can't remember what school, but I was like, hell, come coach our receivers at Bama. That would be lit, man. Having Chad Ochocinco. Imagine him working with like Ryan. I feel like that could help boost his confidence. Bray Hubbard, the best safety in the country. How am I trolling? I'm not trolling. Listen, I'll say this. You guys know I love Bray. That's my guy, man. Comes on the show, all that. I don't know if I can't. As successful as Bray is, especially from a statistical standpoint, and really just, all the plays he makes. I mean, he's definitely up there. However, if I'm being completely honest with you, Caleb Downs, to me, in terms of just like as a football player, not going off of stats and stuff, to me still is going to take the nod. I'm not saying by much or anything like that, but I know a lot of people, there's an argument between that, especially amongst Bama fans like Caleb Downs or Bray. And I get it. And I know you guys aren't going to want to hear me say that, but I'm just going to be completely honest with you. When it comes to like evaluating players, Caleb Downs is without a doubt going to have his name called first, strictly off the evaluation process. Just because, I mean, they don't stats and listen, I love the way Bray plays, but Caleb is special, man. And just in terms of, I mean, the instinctual nature and everything he does, man, he's a really good football player. That's fine when I'm rolling with Bray. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, and again, I have no problem with that. I mean, I think they're both damn good players. I just always just tell people, like, because I know we've had that kind of I'll say discussion on the show, and I'm just saying if I was a scout, and I know this is how scouts are going to think, they're going to have Caleb a little bit higher than Bray. But Bray's good. I mean, Bray's up there for sure. I mean, he's a good football player. But what's going to be his biggest thing is if Bray can go test really well, it's going to help boost his stock. But I think people want to see that stuff. You know what I mean? And the only other thing with Bray is, like I said, sometimes like from like the instinctual part, like I know the turnover stuff are awesome, but I think he could be a little bit more instinctual at times. That would be my only thing. But he's a damn good player. I love Bray. Shoot, I wouldn't trade him personally. Is he top 5 at the safety spot? I definitely think he's top 5, 100%. I'm just saying, I know some people like will say he's the best safety in college football. I think it's close, but and welcome back into this Victory Monday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. Man, we've got a whole bunch of people hanging out in the chat. Welcome in, guys. If you guys are new, welcome in. If you guys have been here before, welcome back in. All right, we've been talking plenty about the Iron Bowl. I gave you guys my breakdown, my thoughts on that. We've kind of introed some of these other topics that we're going to dive into here in a minute. So we'll do just that. But first, I want to go to the phone lines. We've got a number of people that want to talk about it. So I would love to hear y'all's thoughts and everything going on. 205-342-9904. We're probably going to be a little quicker, though. We'll probably max out the calls at like 5 minutes. That way we can squeeze everybody in. So first up, we got Pat. Pat, welcome in.
Glenn, hey, good morning. That a great win. Any win's a win. If you win
Absolutely.
by 1, I always said you win by 1, or you win by 100, you still beat them, and we did. And so anyway, that being said, just want to touch on, because we need to go to Georgia pretty quick. But I want to touch on the deal with Lane. I think that the administration at Ole Miss was asinine in that not letting Lane finish the season to coach these boys or his boys that he offered to coach them. Lane's a great play caller. The defensive coordinator could have stayed with defense, and Lane could have coached them up, no doubt about it. And they'd have stood a much better chance of getting further with Lane calling the plays. That's just my opinion. And but anyway, that being said, Lane is what he is. But if they give him $25 million a year in guaranteed war chest, that in 4 years he can do some damage. There's no doubt about it. I mean, because Louisiana is extremely talent rich with players, and with that kind of war chest, he can go into South Texas over there and make a showing too. What do you think?
I missed the last. Say that one more time, Pat. I'm sorry.
Okay, I said that they've guaranteed Lane a war chest of $25 million per year, and that Louisiana is so talent rich for players anyway, and that if he has that kind of war chest, he can go into South Texas and make a showing over there getting players too.
Well, Chase is from Louisiana. What do you think, Chase?
I think it's a great hire. This is what LSU needed badly.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody better. Honestly, they were throwing around Ed Orgeron, which is sickening to me. But I just feel like you said, Pat, they threw the boatload at him, and I think Lane, he'll be fine. This is what he's wanted all along, to have a big name job like LSU. But it's just now putting pen to paper. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
But hey, I'm also hearing that Ed Orgeron is not out of the question for coming back as a defensive coordinator / defensive line coach, which we all know he is a great recruiter and a fantastic defensive line coach. I didn't think Ed ever had the horsepower to be a SEC head coach, but he has the horsepower to be a great defensive line coach, with Lane being so offensive minded that that could be a problem over in Louisiana now, guys.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't know if Orgeron, if they bring him back, I think that means they got to stop paying him all that buyout. That would be kind of, I don't know, interesting.
Well, his buyout ain't that much. His buyout's only like $17 million, which he's already been paid most of.
Yeah, but I'm saying paying $17 million for a defensive line coach after you just paid the new coach $100 million. That's a lot.
Ed's been gone. You understand? Ed's been gone a while. At most Ed's money's already been paid to him.
Well, I thought you said he had $17 million remaining. I'm saying that's a steep price to pay.
No. His original buyout was only like $17 million.
Oh, I got you. Well, this is what I'll say. Sorry. Maybe it'll be interesting to see who is on his staff, because I know we're still trying to figure out who all is coming from Ole Miss, and I know there was like an ultimatum about, all right, if you're coming with me, you got to come with me right now, or else you're not secured a spot. And let's just say things got very messy on that end, from what I've heard. But
yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, but see, I feel like listen. I don't think it was Lane's intentions for everything to be like that. I think it became messy.
No, it was not.
Right. I think it became messy.
He wanted to play. Yeah, this is the Ole Miss administration Jack League.
Well, I was about to say, I know a lot of people are throwing it on the
people.
Yeah. Well, it's frustrating because it's like, on one end, I understand, Ole Miss, like, having him coach and worried about poaching and stuff like that. I understand that. And I know they want to get a role with everything else. But at the same time, it's like, I know he wanted to coach those guys. It's not like he was trying to just bail on them. So I feel like people are painting it like that, but it's not quite that. But then it's also, when he felt a little betrayed on that end, I think he kind of got messy himself. And now it's just a whole crazy thing. But I guess he thought he'd have a little bit more of a chance at LSU. But to me, I'm like, all right, man, that's That's definitely, a risky game you're playing because you built up this Ole Miss program. And I know there's only so much you can do with recruiting, but he's found a way to work that portal, and it's been very successful for him. And now you're restarting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But also, can you say, though, Coach Saban pulling the trigger on Lane a little bit too quick? I think it cost us a championship. That's just my opinion. I don't know what you think about that, but he pulled the trigger on Lane, and had he had a come to Jesus session with Lane and set him down and say, "Boy, you are the reason you're here is because of me."
Yeah, listen, I wished it would have, been. I can't say if he was coaching, we would have won. I definitely think it would have made more sense to have the guy that was our coordinator all year to be there. But yeah, it was what it was, and it was unfortunate, but it's part of the game, man.
Well, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, of course.
Hindsight's 2020. I appreciate your time. Hey,
Yes,
have
sir.
a blessed day. And tomorrow, let's talk Georgia and show them the respect we're supposed to do it tomorrow. Okay. I love you. Have a great
Yes,
day,
sir.
my
Appreciate
baby.
it, Pat.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir. We'll stay according to schedule. So we got plenty to talk about first. We'll get there when we get there. Trust me, we'll dive into the Georgia talk. You guys know how we do. We'll break it down. We'll get you guys ready for it. Don't you worry. It's coming up. But first, we got plenty more to discuss. So we'll do that. Hour number 2 right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa.
All right. Sorry about that. Let's see. Lane would be poaching the players. He should not let it. Well, here's my thing, Paul, and I'm going to dive into this a little bit more in a minute. Don't you guys think, though, and this I'm genuinely asking, like this is just my thought on it. Don't you guys think if he was going to poach people or people are going to end up leaving with him, that was going to happen regardless. It's going to happen regardless if he coaches or not, which he's not coaching. But in my opinion, I don't think him continuing to coach would make a huge difference. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. And then the other interesting thing I want you guys to think about, because I kind of thought about this too. The other coaches, for example, like Tulane, I mean, they're doing something really special. I mean, they're mocked to be in the college football playoffs, right? Which never, happened. Their coach is being allowed to continue to coach. And then you also have who was the other one? I'm drawing a blank. Who's the other coach that's still allowed to coach? I can't remember. Was it maybe Summerall or something? I don't know. But there's a couple of these. Basically, there's new coaches, right? There's new coaches that have been hired, and they're also being allowed to continue to coach. So, I mean, Shep's still allowed to coach. But I'm saying even like these head coaches, right? Like Tulane, like Summerall is the biggest one for me. Like he got hired at Florida, and Tulane is on the cusp of doing something they've never done, right? They're mocked to be in the college football playoffs. Like, think about how big that is for Tulane. And they're letting those guys continue to coach in the postseason. That's all I'm saying. I feel like this is what I feel like happened. I feel like there's some wrong on both sides. And I think what happened is when you have two wrongs like that, it immediately became way messier than it should have been. Like, I feel like Lane probably knew and anticipated that he was going to LSU. He was dragging out the process. And I think with him doing that, what ended up happening is he kind of set Ole Miss back. Because think about it. I'm sure Ole Miss, listen, I know they love Pete Golden, but let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, Pete's never been a head coach, to my knowledge, which that's not the biggest problem. But the problem is I'm pretty positive they probably were targeting some of these other coaches that we're talking about getting hired, Golish, Summerall, whoever the coach may be. They were targeting all these other people, right? But they didn't have that luxury because Lane ended up holding out for so long. So then what happened is they're kind of stuck. Think about it. There's not, as many people sitting there. All right, I think we're back.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with New York Giants legend and South Carolina Hall of Famer Corey Miller and his son, 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
Knocked down again. It was Christian Miller.
Here is college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome back into the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. All right. So we've talked a lot about the Iron Bowl, talked a little bit about all the coaching circuit stuff going on. We will talk about the SEC championship game. Don't you guys worry, I promise. We got all week to do that, right? And we'll do that. I've already been reaching out, anticipating getting Chris Lowe on here, talk about some of this stuff going on, talk about Alabama, all that stuff, and a couple other people throughout the week. So I know Slade's jumping on here. I know Gray will be on here for sure. I'll keep you guys posted on everybody else. Peyton, Romer were going to try to hop on last week, but with Thanksgiving, they got tied up. Totally fair. And we'll see if we can get them this week as well. But that said, we'll talk plenty about SEC Championship, Alabama, Georgia. We've got plenty of time to do so, though. But right now, I want to talk a little bit about the coaching stuff going on just because it's been a circus and we haven't talked about it too much. We just did with Patton, so let's piggyback off that. My overall thoughts on Lane with this whole thing, I think there's been a little bit of bad on both sides. I think him dragging it out, which he might not have been anticipating dragging it out or intentionally doing it, but I think he's kind of known that he was going to LSU. I think what had happened was basically what ended up being the biggest issue. He was planning on going there, but he wanted to find a way to be able to coach his team, which it seemed like they were holding that against him. They're going to hold that against him. They're going to hold, you need to make a decision by here. Like even that kind of stuff, which I know they need to have answers because signing day is this week and it's important to get the ball rolling. But I feel like them doing some of the things that they were doing in terms of like Keith Carter and that administration, I think it probably put more pressure on him, which you guys know what happens when you're in a state of pressure. Sometimes you kind of panic or sometimes you end up, making these decisions and whatnot. I think his response, unfortunately, ended up being, well, okay, they're throwing these ultimatums at me. I'm going to throw these. Well, if you don't let me coach, I'm bringing this guy, and this guy. And that's when I think it became extremely messy. That's what I've kind of gathered from everything. So it's really unfortunate. I don't blame Lane for going to, LSU, taking a job that he feels, is best for him, his family. I mean, because you guys got to remember, it doesn't just affect him. This affects his family. This affects the coaches, right? Their families relocating. Some people might not have jobs. I mean, this is it's a big deal. So it's not like an easy decision. But if he felt, and he got the advice from Coach Saban. He got the advice from Pete Carroll. And I get it. I mean, let's just talk about it. Like, and I said this on the show, and I know a lot of people have different opinions. But for me, my thing was like, I mean, dude, you built up Ole Miss. If you win at Ole Miss, which you're showing, I mean, the possibilities there. I don't like when people say like, oh, well, he can't win at Ole Miss. Why can't he? They've lost one game and also a really good Georgia football team. They're about to be in the college football playoffs. They've got a good offense. Their defense has been playing solid, right? Last year, they had like one of the best defenses in the country. And you know how good of an offensive coach he is. Pete had, no signs of leaving. What he built over at Ole Miss was, I mean, very solid. The only knock on Ole Miss would be the difficulty of, I guess, recruiting, right, to Oxford. But he had found a way with the portal. And I know that's not like a foolproof way, but listen, to say like, oh, he can't do it there, I don't agree with that. He definitely could do it there. Now, is it going to be easier to recruit, from LSU? Yeah. Will you be able to dominate the state of Louisiana with all? I mean, it's a hotbed for football recruits. I mean, you don't really have any in-state competition. I mean, who are you recruiting against in Louisiana, right? It's not like Alabama. It's Alabama-Auburn, right? Mississippi, you got Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Totally different there. But I will say this, though. Is it worth? I mean, that's a risk on his part. But again, he's a man. He can make that decision, and ultimately, he has that right. I mean, you can't necessarily blame him. Anybody would take a job promotion that they feel like is better for them and their family. It's just going about it. You should do it a certain way, And especially, look, I know coaches do this and now players do it. Look, this is a part of college football. I mean, it truly is a business. It's more of a business now than it's ever been. And if you can't see that, man, you're just choosing not to. Because, I mean, these guys can leave. I know they changed it to just one portal window, but still, they're getting paid. They can leave, right? The players' lot looks like an NFL player's lot. I mean, these guys don't have that same level of commitment to these schools. The coaches don't. I mean, it's where we're at right now. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So those are my thoughts on it. I think I'm not mad at him for doing it. I just think the way he ended up, you know, going is the biggest issue, especially coming from a guy that, I mean, he took some time to build his reputation back, right? I mean, we know that the departure from, you know, Tennessee, Southern Cal, hell, even the Raiders, even with us, you know, Coach Saban kind of showing him the door. You know, it's unfortunate, but, you know, we'll have to see how it works out. But I think everything will end up being, you know, it is what it is, right? I mean, those Ole Miss fans, I mean, they're upset. I get they're upset, but I do feel like they're doing a little too much. And the reason I say that is, I mean, you're talking about a guy, I mean, he did turn their program around, one of the most successful past couple of years in program history. I think this year is like the most successful year for them. So I just personally, I feel like why they are frustrated, I understand when they're frustrated. I think they also need to, you know, show some at least appreciation for what he did do. I mean, this is from Cole Kubick, 3 straight 10-win seasons, longest streak in program history, 4 10-win seasons tied with another coach for most in Ole Miss history. Program record 11 wins in 23 and 25. First 11 win regular season in program history in 25. 48 straight weeks in AP poll, second longest at Ole Miss. 3 of the 4 highest scoring seasons in AP poll era while he was there. 8 players taken in the 25 draft, most since 1971. And then the .743 win percentage, second highest all time by an Ole Miss head coach. So while the exit wasn't pretty, while people are upset he's going to a rival, I get all that. However, I mean, the dude did some really good stuff while he was there. I mean, he was there, 6-7 years? You know, and, you know, he felt he could move on and do something else at LSU, even though I think he probably could have done the same things at Ole Miss. Maybe it would have been a little bit more of a challenge with recruiting, maybe. But other than that, we'll see. But I do know this. They hired Brian Kelly thinking he was going to be the savior, and we saw how that worked out. So hopefully it works out for Lane. I like Lane. I do. But, again, taking a gamble here. They signed him to a big contract, but best believe they don't see those results. He ain't going to be there very long either. And then that's really going to be tough because think about how the schools are going to look at him after that. Well, we saw what you just did to Ole Miss and the other places. They're going to be a little hesitant on hiring him, but it is what it is, man. But anyway, let's go back to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We still got to hear from Alex Gold. We'll do that here in a minute. But first, we got Ricky up next. Ricky, welcome in. Ricky, you still there? Going once, twice. Circle back, Ricky. Sorry, I know it's been a minute. Let's see if Smitty's still with us. Smitty, with us?
Christian, how's it going?
What's up, Smitty? Sorry about that, man. It's a day full of news and everything.
Yeah, I was going to hit you with a thanks a lot, brother, but it's good, man. But no, I'm actually going to Raw tonight, by the way. It's in my area tonight. So
heck yeah.
Yeah. Before I talk about this game, first things first, I'm good for this. Zay Mincy, son, you are an Oregon State Beaver. Sorry.
Oh, wow.
He had a bad 2 plays, man. Dropped the easy pick and gave up the touchdown. Good Lord. But here's the thing, right? I know that not you, but there's a lot of fans and media that doesn't appreciate how hard it is to win. And I believe a lot of fans and media still don't believe Kalen DeBoer is a guy. And they keep saying he's soft and all that crap, right? But let me ask you, how can a coach be soft when he got them off the mat against FSU? And we saw teams like Florida and LSU, Florida State quit this year. You know? Because if you're soft, your team would have quit on you. And with all these deficiencies, you know, you working in some young guys offensive line. You had to work in a lot of injuries because Tim Keenan was hurt early on. Then Jam been battling injuries all year. Then, you know, people are mad about coaches. Well, Alabama fans are always mad about the coaching staff. You know,
Yeah.
they were mad at Kirby at one point. So just be
True.
real. So with all these deficiencies, bad run game, we now get into why Ty kind of turned the ball over a little bit, been a little shaky. All this stuff,
Mhm.
they're still 10-2, first place in the SEC, despite all that. To me, that showed that I believe he's the guy and that he is a leader. And he may not be cussing people out and throwing stuff. Marcus Freeman ain't that guy, you know.
Mhm.
And to me, he's the guy. And I just think that it just may look different than it was under Saban. But I appreciate the fact that DeBoer is doing it his way. He ain't doing it the Saban way. He's doing it this way and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, in terms of like the soft thing, I don't. How do I explain this? I would not call them soft. I just think when they would make comments like that, they're talking about his style, right? I mean, you got to understand. I mean, when you go from Nick Saban, who's viewed as arguably the hardest football coach, right? Most tough, gritty, jump you type football coach, old school, and then you bring in a guy who doesn't cuss, and you know what I mean? He's like a very friendly players coach. I understand why people view it that way, but again, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And I'll say this, to be fair, I'm not gonna lie. I'll even say this, and I love Coach DeBoer. I've been up there and been around him a lot. I do think last year, his first year, he was a little. Let me be careful how I phrase, because people will take it out of context. I do think he did lack some of what he's showing this season. I'm sure he probably would agree with what I'm saying. Now, also, I'm smart enough to understand there's a number of factors given. It's year one. He's just getting to know these guys. He's not going to necessarily show up and feel like he's going to sit there. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things going on. So I understand that aspect, but I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I do think last year, this year is evident that he's a lot more comfortable, with who he is. And we've even heard, listen, and if you don't believe me, go back and listen to the player interviews. They've even said it. Man, we're getting used to seeing a different side of Coach DeBoer now. Like, they encouraged him. If you go back and really pay attention to what some guys were saying, they literally were like yearning for it. And that's all me and my dad used to say. It's like, dude, when you come to a program like this and you got players like this, like, it's okay to be a player's coach, but you do have to, like, there's some guys that need to get jumped on. Like, they need that. If not, they go away, and it's just not, you're not going to get the most out of them. And I think now we're seeing him lean into that a lot more. And to me, it's a complete different, style that we saw last year. You know what I mean? We're not seeing, like, think about this, and I hate to use it as an example, but we had a guy have some off the field issues. They handled it internally, boom, and I don't think we've seen him play since. That's not soft. I mean, I hate that for the guy to use that as an example, but that's not soft. You know what I mean? And we're seeing even just his interaction on the sidelines and stuff. I mean, this is totally different. So I think last year was kind of just that kind of like, welcome party. And now you're kind of seeing, but no, is he a different fit here? Yeah, he's a different type of fit. But at the end of the day, it's about winning football games. And I don't think Bama fans care if he's cussing, if he's reading Bible verses, or he's, reading cooking recipes, man. As long as he's winning football games and getting you to the SEC championship game and getting you in the playoffs, that's ultimately what matters.
You know what, Christian? And one thing also, and I've always said this, that was the first big coaching change in the portal NIL era. This ain't like someone flipped from Kentucky, This is,
Yeah.
And then none of us knew about this loophole in the portal when your coach league got 30 days, and then you had the spring window. So none of us knew this, right, till it happened. Yeah. And now you've seen what coaching changes happen. Now people are negotiating differently, but I'll say this about the game before I run, because I know you got other people. At the end of the day, win is a win. That's how I look at it. Asher Daniels did a good job with improvisational skills. Some of those runs he made was pretty improvisational skills. I don't know. Maybe a 3-man front may not be a good idea for a guy with that type of improvisation,
Fair.
Maybe you should put another guy down there. But I thought they did a good job. And, like, the one thing everybody was talking about, well, Ryan Williams didn't get no targets. I don't get all 22. And I know Coach DeBoer said we don't call plays for signals to guys that's like a screen pass, something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe these teams are doubling him and Bernard and saying somebody else beat us. That's what Belichick used to do with Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs. You're not beating us. Somebody else will. Maybe teams are doing that. I don't know. But if they're doing that, you can't force the ball to him. You got to go to other people. And so hopefully they'll find a way with him in Georgia. But at the end of the day, you still won the game regardless. And I'm just happy that from what we saw at the beginning of the year to now. And one thing about Georgia real quick, I know everybody loves saying they want to play Georgia right now. And both these teams are walking mass units, all the injuries they had.
Yeah.
But this defense is better than the one they played at Georgia. And Tim Keenan is healthier now to help with run defense, because I think that was the first game back, I think, when he played up there. I think that's something that the media won't talk about, but I'm just proud of this team from the resolve they showed all year. And I do think Grubb needs to stop being cute sometimes, you know, but because folks got to remember, I said at the beginning when they hired him, do not crown him as the savior. Just he's running DeBoer's offense. And I said, let's see how it goes before y'all crown this guy. Because let's be real, the run game was better under Sheridan. You know?
True. You also did have a quarterback that was, you know, arguably one of the best athletes in the country. So that played a role. But I think now people will finally believe us when we say, yeah, there was a reason Jalen Miller ran the ball so much instead of just, oh, well, he can't throw. I mean, listen, yes, did he have some deficiencies? 100%. Anybody could acknowledge that.
Everybody does.
Right, everybody does. But that's why you lean into what he does well. And that's why it used to drive me nuts when people used to just not acknowledge that. Like, whoa, why is he running? Well, here, let me tell you why. I mean, that's what he does best. They're they're doing what good coaches do. I never understood that part. But no, you're right. I mean, you know, I think people probably owe Nick Sheridan a little bit of an apology because, I mean, you're starting to see it wasn't as bad as people probably made it seem, including my dad. My dad gave him a lot of flack.
And I'll say this before I go. Thanks for taking my call as always.
Yeah.
The biggest thing from Saturday, Ty did not have the best day. He got the tar kicked out of him, but he did not turn the ball over. Yeah. That's all I ever asked for, because it wasn't pretty, but you didn't turn the ball over to give them extra opportunities. And to me, I shout Ty out for that, and I shout Connor Talty because he had to kick a 40-yard field goal in that pressure 45, and I give him credit for bouncing back too. But thanks for taking my call, Christian. You guys have a good one.
Yes, sir. Always, brother. You too, man. Good stuff. Good deal. All right, let's do this. Let's hit a timeout and stay on schedule. When we come back, we'll keep on rolling. We'll go back to the phone lines. Plus, we got to hear from new Auburn head coach Alex Golesh to hear what he has to say, taking over in the Plains, and more coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Let's see. Let's catch up on some of these comments. Ole Miss needed to move on with the portal window on the cusp. They have been dependent on the portal. Yeah, that's huge for them. Ole Miss was okay coaching SEC championship game. That helps dirty up the waters. Just got a problem with the way it went down. Yeah. You know Lane like I do. Lane has always wanted to put his skills in form. I think it'd be great at LSU. Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, Lane's a really good football coach. There's no denying that. I think it's going to be important about who he, you know, is able to get around him. Now, look, Baker, the defensive coordinator there, is phenomenal. If he can retain Baker and a lot of those guys in that defensive staff, I think it could end up being really, really good. My thing is just like, I get it. You know, LSU, there's going to be some more resources. It's Baton Rouge, right? I mean, Louisiana State University. I mean, it's going to be easier to recruit there. However, you're kind of starting over. Not kind of, you are starting over. And I mean, you're leaving your program at its height. Granted, I mean, one could say that about Kalen DeBoer, even though it's totally different. I mean, he left Washington after bringing them to a national championship, but that's totally different. Going from Washington to Alabama, that makes complete sense. So I understand it's literally apples to oranges, but you get what I'm saying. To me, to leave Ole Miss to go to LSU, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a complete lateral move, but it's not far off from one, in my opinion. Like it is from a historic level, maybe, in the ability to recruit, but in terms of, I mean, like what he's turned Ole Miss into right now. I mean, I just think it's a little bit of a risky game, especially to do it the way he did it. Because if it doesn't work out at LSU, I mean, he's probably going to be set pretty far back. But here's what it is. I really don't think he had bad intentions with anything. I just, think it kind of went south with all the demands on both sides. Baker staying as DC. Is that confirmed to you? If it is, I mean, that's a huge, huge deal for him. I won't be shocked if Ole Miss doesn't drop off. Golden can recruit his ass off. Absolutely. He's got a lot of ties to Mississippi, man. Even though I wouldn't say Mississippi is like the biggest hotbed or anything, but Southeast ties for sure. But I'm just saying it works out well in terms of, Pete taking over with all those ties that he has to the state, which is good. Brady Defensive Player of the Week. Hell yeah. I think that's what's wrong with Ryan Williams. I don't believe Ryan handles the coaching very well right now, and he's lost his confidence. It's an interesting point. I will say this, man. Coach Shep, man, he jumps those guys. And I don't know if it could be a little bit of that. I mean, I think it's probably a combination of a number of things. I think they have him playing a lot more in the slot. It's a different position, and there's a learning curve there. I feel like he naturally had some drops. And I'm going to go as far as saying this. Nobody really talks about this. I mean, even though Ryan had like an amazing year last year as a freshman, I mean, if you really look at him from a technical standpoint, I mean, there still was plenty that he needed to improve on. You know what I mean?
Is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Victory Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let's hit another call or two real quick just to catch up, and then we'll hear a little bit more from the whole coaching circuits is going on. I think we got Chris on the line to see if he's still there. Chris from Decatur. Chris, you with us? Going once, twice. So sorry. Yeah, I know a lot of people like stacked up early on, so they've been waiting a long time. So I don't blame you guys. But if you guys want to circle back and call back, you're more than welcome to. Let's see who was up next. I think there was Turner. Let's see if Turner's still with us. Turner, you still on the line?
Yes, sir. What's up, Christian?
What's up, Turner, man? How's it been, man? Long time not no see, but I guess no hear.
Yeah, the talk. Yeah, it's been a while, man. I mean, I'm still listening to you and your show, and just hadn't called in. One, I wanted to ask you: are you going to Atlanta next weekend?
I don't plan on it, no, but sounds like you might have some plans already. You going?
Yeah, me and my son are going. Yeah, I've been buying SEC championship game tickets since '94.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I'm taking my son, and I was going to say,
Nice.
I didn't know if you and your dad were going to be there. We could get up and hang out or something, or if you were broadcasting, in Atlanta. But anyways.
Yeah, no, I didn't have plans on it, but yeah, no, I appreciate you checking though.
Yeah, man, because I think it would be cool to meet, and my son would probably love to meet you. He plays outside linebacker, and
That's right.
he played outside linebacker. Yeah, but going back to the Lane Kiffin Ole Miss thing, I was kind of keeping up a little bit with the drama there, not too much, but just a little bit, and Lane was like, well, if you don't let me play, I'll poach players and coach. Well, he was going to do that regardless.
True.
So I don't understand why he said that. I mean, if he leaves, he's going to take the staff members he wants to take. He's going to talk to the players that he wants to come with him to LSU. And I think it was who was it? Was it Caleb Odom? He was at Alabama. He's at Ole Miss now, right?
Yeah, that's
Is that his name, Caleb Odom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. I don't know if it's true or not, but he posted something where he was upset for Lane because he, per the post, not saying it's accurate, but per the post, he was upset because he accused Lane of not coming back and talking to the players and saying, hey, this is the decision I made, blah, 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 blah. But, I think something needs to be done because, if you're an Ole Miss fan, I mean, this is a chance to, like, your first year ever to go deep into the playoffs. You got the coaching staff, you got the players. Now, you may have some players sit out. I mean, I can't imagine they would. I would hope they wouldn't be in a playoff team. But, I mean, it just messes things up. I mean, I'm a big proponent. I know things got to be done to get people enrolled, but stuff needs to like quit happening so early. Like when there's still playoff games, conference championship games, you know, in rival state games. When there's games, this needs to stop, and there needs to be a new system. You know, you're probably going to have to ask the academia to make exceptions for late enrollees or something like that, which, you know, they don't, most of them don't care about sports. They're going to be like, no, we're not doing that. But I don't know. Something needs to be done because it's not really fair to Ole Miss. I mean, Lane, like you said, Lane has to do what he needs to do. He needs to make decisions that's best for him, his family, and his career. I think he'll do well. You know, at LSU, that's my opinion. I really wanted him to come to Alabama, but I just don't think I think he didn't have the maturity level at the time. And I think he's a little more mature now, but you know, I think Lane is football-wise, especially offensively, has a fantastic football mind. And then I do think it's funny the way he trolls some people. He's pretty funny. And
he is. No,
but go ahead.
No, I just was going to say I agree with you, man. He is very, very much a very solid football coach. I mean, he recruits well, and he's an offensive guru. I mean, being around him, man, I loved having him as an offensive coordinator. I watched him draw plays up. I watched him celebrate touchdowns before they happened because he knew they were going to happen. I mean, he's awesome in that aspect. It's just, unfortunately, you know, this is kind of a common theme in terms of his exits, and I hate it because you talked about his maturity. I mean, I felt that he was so much more mature, and I think he still is. That's why I think it's unfortunate the way this one unfolded, because I don't think it needed to be like this, and it shouldn't have been like this. But like you said, with these windows and these timetables, I mean, it's honestly it's tough because go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he could have worded it a different way. He could have just told the Ole Miss administration, "I owe it to these players and this university to keep on coaching out."
Right.
I owe it to them.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think that they even gave them that luxury. I think they were using that. This is from what I've gathered. They were using that almost as leverage, almost as a way to pressure him, right? And I think what happened was then he kind of went into desperation mode and was like, well, if you don't let me this, then I'm going to this. You know, just like you get in an argument with your significant other, whoever, and sometimes it gets tit for tat. Or that it seemed like it became like a tit for tat type deal. And listen, and I agree with you when you say, I mean, whether he coached or not, you don't think he's going to be able to have some influence on some of the guys that want to leave that might not be playing, or that's going to happen regardless. I think they could have handled it better. But the problem too is I think the system doesn't help, right? You've got a transfer portal window, you've got the new signing day, which is literally this week. That puts, strain on so many things, on so many levels, because everybody has to get things done in a certain window. If not, you're behind, and then you're really behind the 8 ball, and then that could really set you back. So, it's just a bad overall situation.
It's a result of how the system is right now.
Right.
It really is what that is. But
that's
anyway,
true.
Well, thanks for taking my call, man. Good talking
Absolutely.
to you, brother. Roll Tide, big time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tanner. Yes, sir, Turner. Thank you so much. You too, bro. Roll Tide. All right, let's do this. We'll stay on schedule. We'll hit this timeout real quick, and then when we come back, we'll hear a little bit from Golish. And plus, we got plenty more to talk about. We got to discuss the SEC championship game, some early thoughts. Remember, this week we'll be breaking it down like we do every other matchup. So we'll dive into it. It'll be a little bit different this time around since we played them before. We know a lot about them, so we're not going to be doing it from ground zero. However, we will kind of pay attention to what they've done since, we last played these guys. I will say this. Georgia's been playing a lot better football since the last time we met them. And, we say it's a common thing, right? It's hard to beat a team twice. We'll talk about some of those reasons why. And we'll break down this matchup in traditional fashion throughout the week, but we'll do a little bit of an early preview here coming up right on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
What's right?
All right, let's see. Not saying Lane's not a good coach. I'm just a character guy. I have people in my life I don't associate because of that. And I completely understand. I'll just say this. I mean, in terms of like him off the field, I feel like he's been much better than what he had been over the last few years. That's why I hate the way this transpired because, you know, he over the last couple of years, you see he's trending in this direction. Yeah, he still trolls people on social media and stuff. But I mean, he repaired his reputation in a number of ways. And then with the previous history he already has, a situation like this, I mean, immediately people are going to resort back to, well, yep, we always knew he was, and then boom. And that's exactly what happened. I hate that for him, but you know, it is what it is. Superfly, what's up, man? Christian, do you think the reason, why do you think the reason is that the running game was better? This game is due to the fact we had multiple tight ends in the game to replace Cuevas, resulting in better run blocking. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the all 22 yet, so I'm not going to make something up and just tell you, you know, something off of, you know, me trying to remember. So I'd love to go back and watch that. I was trying to find it on our thing that we have, but they have not posted it yet. So I don't have the all 22 from the Auburn game yet. That said, I'll be honest with you. I think the way Jam was running played a big deal, right? I think the offensive line, number one, it starts with them. I want to give them credit. I thought they did a good job with, you know, on line of scrimmage, especially given the fact that Parker Brailsford's beaten and banged up. I mean, his ankle was literally heavily spatted. And if you guys are wondering what spat means, that's the tape, you know, the exterior tape over the cleat. I mean, it had a thick brace on there, which leads me to believe, I mean, I don't know if he necessarily had a high ankle sprain, but I wouldn't think he did if he was back that fast, but still, he obviously was very hobbled up. And without a doubt, he got shot up before the game. He ended up leaving the game. You've got your backup center in there. That said, those guys did a pretty solid job against a really good front in Auburn. But without watching the all 22, Superfly, I think Jam was running with a lot more purpose in this game. To me, it just felt like Jam wasn't dancing as much. He wasn't nearly as patient. He was trusting his guys up front, and he was hitting the hole, and he was, you know, a lot more explosive than he had been in recent weeks. That to me stood out to me. And even if I go back and watch all 22 and it does have, you know, tight end play ends up being a factor, I still, from watching the game itself, that was something that stood out to me. The running backs played a much better game. I think that was a big factor. Be hard to keep Mack and Russell next year. Well, there is a new, you know, the window now. There's no more spring window, so you really got it. I mean, they're going to have to figure that out for themselves, you know, with this window coming up, because after that, they'll be here regardless, unless somebody wants to just sit out and not play, save a year. But I don't know. Somebody posted something interesting. It was like a quick clip of the quarterbacks with their coaches after the game, and it almost seemed like Keelan was a little bit like you see like Grubb or no, Sheridan. Sheridan like gives it like a big excited dap over to Mac, and looked like Keelan was kind of just on the outside a little bit looking in. I don't think it. I know somebody was kind of like it was like a tweet saying like, "Oh man, like this seems a little funny," but I think people are reading into it. I don't think there's nothing like that, man. But the good news is, I mean, you got two really good quarterbacks. So, assuming that Ty does in fact enter the NFL draft, I think people can, you know, be confident. We don't have to have that big chip on our shoulder, right? You know, last couple of years with quarterback battles, I mean, there definitely will be one, but I think people can go into it knowing like, hey, we got some really good potential with our quarterback room, which is good. It's really good. And welcome back into this Victory Monday edition of Miller's Edge, Tie 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support expert. So we talked about Alex Gola. She's speaking to the media currently, just named officially the new head coach for Auburn University. And I think we could play a little bit of it just to get his initial thoughts. I think it's important, right, to hear from the in-state rival. So let's do that first, because then when we after we officially do that, we can jump ahead and look at the SEC championship matchup while we still got some time left. 205-342-9904 is the number to the phone lines, by the way, if you guys want to get in on the action. But first, let's hear a little bit from new Auburn head coach Alex Golesh.
Head football coach, 33rd head football coach in Auburn history. Please welcome Alex, his wife Alexis, their children Corbin and Barrett to the Auburn family. War Eagle.
War Eagle. I am so humbled and so grateful to be standing in front of you today. It's been a fascinating, let's call it 35 hours. Been 24 hours on campus, so I can't tell you how appreciative my family is of the opportunity. I can't tell you how grateful I am to be standing here today. I want to thank Dr. Roberts for the warm welcome and the opportunity. I want to thank John for his integrity through the search, for him doing it the right way, for the timing of it all to work out the right way, and from the start to the beginning, doing it with the highest class and the integrity that he promised from the beginning he would do it with, and I'm grateful for that, John. The Board of Trustees for how quickly and rapidly we were able to go through this process, and for accepting me. I'm grateful to that. Lee Van Horn and the administrative staff that's worked for the last 24 hours. We took a little nap last night for about an hour and then right back at it. Everybody that was involved with the search, thank you for choosing me and this staff and my family to represent one of the most storied programs in all of college football. The Auburn Creed: work, hard work. I believe in Auburn and love it. John tells the story of my family coming to the U.S., and I told the staff, I hate talking about myself. I don't ever want to stand up here and talk about me. I want to stand up here and talk about this program, Auburn University, and more importantly, our players. For the next couple minutes, I'll go through it, and then from here on out, it'll be about the program, the team, and everything that Auburn University stands for. I want to thank the most important person in my life and my rock, and the one that allows me to go to work and, as she says, hang out and do football with my buddies. What you're going to get from me, from our staff, and as we get rolling, our players, is the hardest working, toughest, grittiest program in the entire country. We're going to work day in, day out. We're going to find wins in every single margin we could find. We're going to build a process-driven program, where we wake up and we worry about winning every single aspect of our lives every single day. I truly believe that if you buy into a process, a way of doing things day in, day out, from the moment you wake up to how you come in, to how you attack your relationships in a building, to how you attack the weight room, sports medicine, nutrition, the film room, the teaching, and then certainly the work on the field. If you buy into eating right, sleeping right, hydrating right, outworking people in the things that nobody else sees, the end result will happen. A lot of the time, you don't control the end result. You control your daily habits, you control your daily process. And if you keep pouring into that day in, day out, us as a staff, the student athletes, everybody that touches our guys, at whatever point the process will pay you back. We're also going to have a hell of a lot of fun doing it. We're going to be explosive on offense. We're going to play really fast. We're going to challenge teams in every imaginable way. We're going to run the freaking ball. People around here like running the football, and I can respect it. We're going to be explosive. We're going to play really fast, and it's going to be a brand of football that's going to be fun to watch. Defensively, we're going to be just as fun to watch. We're going to be aggressive, create explosives, create negatives, create turnovers. We're going to be the most violent freaking team on the football field every single Saturday. We're going to be different on special teams. We're going to create explosives on teams. It's going to be a huge difference in why we win. We're going to outwork, outthink, and outprocess people across the entire country. I told the guys yesterday in our team meeting that at whatever point we're ready to be a player-driven program, player-driven. I think in my time, as I've gone through this journey, I've been rolling up our sleeves. We've been here for 24 hours, and we have gone to work. We're going to recruit this 250-mile radius harder than anybody in the entire country. The high school football within these 250 miles is nothing short of elite. I've been in this part of the country for a long time. I've recruited this part of the country for a long time. Our staff, as it all comes together, is going to have a giant footprint in this 250-mile radius around campus.
All right, so we're going to pause that there. Like I said, I just wanted to listen to a few minutes of the press conference of Alex Golesh. Again, the new head coach of Auburn University, hired him from South Florida. We know about him, right? Played him a couple times the last few years. Good coach, comes from Coach Heupel's coaching tree. A lot of similarities there with what they like to do. You heard the man. They're going to want to run the football. You'll see that involving the quarterback, which, you know, is nothing new to Auburn. And he talked about what they plan on doing on defense and special teams. Intensity, right? Aggressiveness, blitzing, forcing turnovers. Everybody talks about these things in press conferences. So, I mean, you know, it all sounds great, which I'm not going to lie, I do think he's a really good fit. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying. I don't want you guys listening to that, like, oh, man, no. Like, listen, every coach is going to say all these things. But it is going to be interesting to see what they end up looking like and what he ends up doing in terms of the rest of his staff, especially defensively. I know what we're getting out of this guy. Not what we're getting. I know what Auburn's getting and what we're going to expect from this guy. Given, you know, seeing him at USF and previous spots. But defensively, I'm curious how that goes. I'm not sure if they officially said they'll keep DJ Durkin, who I think is a really good coach. But nonetheless, man, I think they did a nice job with their hire. I think he's a good fit for what they do over at Auburn. And I think it's going to make for some interesting matchups down the road. Alabama, Auburn in some Iron Bowls. But for this Iron Bowl, we take the crown yet again. I think that's 6 years in a row for us here at Alabama. 27-20 victory over those guys in the Plains. That said, we got to hit a timeout when we come back. We wrap things up in our final segment. We'll preview a little bit of this SEC championship game. Trust me, we got all week. We'll talk about it. We'll dive into that. Plus, you got playoff rankings coming out tomorrow. That should kind of give us some more indications on, you know, how we should view this this SEC championship game and its implications on a playoff, right? I mean, there's so much going on this week, and we're going to dive into it, talk about it throughout the week right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC. Taking a shot every time he says friggin' right. Don't play that game with Pete Golden, man. When he says right, like, y'all think I say right a little bit because my dad, you know, cries about it, or Ty, he was saying that Ty says it. Listen, Pete Golden, right? Everything he says, right? He finishes with the word right, like that. That's exactly how Pete talks. So don't listen. We're not going to listen to Pete's press conference, because if you play that game, you're going to be on your ass before, well, I guess it's about almost 1 o'clock now. Quick trigger hire with this guy. Remember the guys, 23 and 15, Cam Coleman coming to Bama. I hear you, Lynn, but I will say this. I mean, it was, and then they even say, like, they called him at 1 a.m. I think from what I heard, DJ Durkin was who they were going to promote. And then I guess, if I had to guess, some boosters probably had some say in it, and they wanted to go with this guy. And here's the thing. I mean, kind of the best of both worlds. If you hire this guy, but then you retain DJ Durkin, I feel like that's probably a good way to keep everybody happy, right? The people that wanted someone else and other people that wanted DJ to stay. So that's probably what ended up happening if they do end up keeping DJ Durkin. But I'll say this: I wouldn't get too caught up in his record. It's not, the sexiest hire when you look at that, but I think his fit, like what he likes to do and how it, fits in with Auburn and historically how they've done things and have they played football. I think it is a good hire. Nowadays, I don't think there is a true home run hire. I mean, maybe a guy like Summerall, you might feel a little more confident in, given what he was able to do at Tulane. But I think it's a solid hire for them. Like, will we end up hiring a guy like Alex Gorsh like that at Alabama? No. But at this point, I mean, they swung on, a guy that had no experience here. That definitely didn't work. They hired Hugh Freeze, who had experience in SEC, had some success. Hell, even had a good bit of success over us here at 14 and 15 when I was here. That didn't work. I mean, at this point, I mean, your options really were, some of these younger up-and-comers or a guy like DJ Durkin. And I feel like give this guy a go. I mean, he fits well kind of with what they do. See how it goes, And then when you're hiring these younger up-and-comers, their contracts aren't going to be nearly as lucrative as if they were to hire like Lane. So to be fair, buyout stuff, I mean, if this guy's there for 2 years and it doesn't work, probably not going to put a huge dent on him. Like if you were to have hired, one of these more tenured coaches or more experienced guys. Boosters did this because they wanted Tulane coach and lost him. Yeah, I mean, I think that was probably their first choice too. And then I think it ended up falling back on DJ Durkin, and then they must have made a late night pitch. Might have been, I don't know, up talking, drinking some whiskey or something. Who knows? DJ to Kentucky. I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's not many options. This leads me to ask you guys this. I mean, Penn State, everybody's talking about all these SEC hires. I mean, but Penn State, one of the biggest openings right now. I mean, they're just kind of left in the dark. I mean, they're going to hire Dable, maybe BYU's coach. Kind of weird. It's not going to be Kalen DeBoer. I know people keep throwing that out there. It's not going to be. But
this is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Victory Monday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Couple things real quick. We'll talk plenty more about the SEC championship game tomorrow. We got plenty of media to play and to talk about. There's going to be interviews today and tomorrow, so we'll play those tomorrow. But just a quick little, summary, right? You got the SEC championship game, kicks off 3 o'clock this afternoon. I know a lot of you guys probably plan on going. If you can, go make sure you guys do that because, look, we're playing in Atlanta. We already know Georgia's, they're going to be well-traveled, not far from Athens at all. It's a rematch game. We're talking about two really good football teams. And shout out to Kalen DeBoer again, real quick. I know we talked about it earlier, but to finish number one in the conference after the grueling schedule that we had, man, great accomplishment there, especially given the way we started the season and then to end up where we ended up at, man. That's just awesome for him and this football team. And so they've got a lot of stuff in front of them. They got to lock in like they do every week, 1 week at a time. And the next challenge is the Georgia Bulldogs, who we've beaten before. We've seen them before, beaten them twice so far, right? Kalen DeBoer has beaten Kirby twice back-to-back years, once in Tuscaloosa, once on the road, and now he's got a chance to go for the three-peat in Atlanta. Not going to be an easy task. Georgia's playing some good football. Been playing a lot better since the last time we saw them, but the good news is I think one big difference, too, is our defense is playing a lot better as well, right? But that is one thing I'll note about Georgia. I feel like their defense has made strides since then. So talking about our offense, trying to, get out of this rut that we've been in, going against a Georgia team that they've got plenty of tape on us now, plenty of experience going against us this year, knowing, who we are as a football team this year. And I think it's going to be set for a big matchup, like it always is. Anytime these two teams face each other in Atlanta, you already know what you're getting, man. It's going to be one hell of a matchup, and that's exactly what I expect. We got all week to talk about it. We'll break it down, talk about the updates on everybody, who's expected to play, who's not, matchups, all that stuff. We'll do all that throughout the week. But first, let's wrap things up on the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We got Super Joe up next. Super Joe, welcome in. You there? Going once, twice. Next, we'll go to Bryce. If Bryce is still with us. Bryce, you with us?
Yeah, Kristen, thanks for taking my call.
What's up, Bryce?
Anytime that Tennessee can lose and Alabama can win and Auburn can lose, great weekend. And I'm glad that Auburn didn't get John Summerall. This guy, he talks a big game, but I don't know if it had been me. I just said, hey, I'm looking forward to the challenge here at Auburn and been done. I wouldn't blow so much smoke up somebody's rear end, you know?
Well, you gotta win the press conferences nowadays with social media and all these clips and stuff. You got to win the press conference. You got to go in there and get the approval of everybody. So of course they're gonna go in there and we're gonna be the hardest working team, the most aggressive team. I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying it is a little cliche because everybody says that.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is in 4 or 5 years, they'll be writing another check.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, who knows? With today's day and age, you never know. I mean, it could work. It might not work. Hell, even Summerall. I mean, who knows if that works? I mean, Florida, they got a hell of a schedule, typically. Maybe it lightens up a little bit over the next couple of years. But as good of a coach as he is, I mean, that's a tall task to tackle as well. So I think nowadays with the portal and I mean, I don't know if you can call any hire a true home run hire. I mean, there can be good hires, but it's hard to really just predicate what's going to be.
Well, Larson looks like a pretty good hire, isn't it, for what he's done? Nobody's done what he said. They beat Kirby Smart twice. They beat the guy everybody wants in Oregon 3 times, and he's beat Stark twice. So I'd say he's got a pretty good resume starting. And,
he does.
I saw something that was really impressive. When Saban was here for 2 years, 19 wins, he's tied him. That's very impressive. This guy, and I like the way he has changed. He's got fire on the sideline, showing emotion. And that's one thing that I see that he's done this year that has helped out a lot. And I'm looking forward to, hey, we're playing at Mercedes Nick Saban Field East. So never lost there, buddy. And so that's the way you got to look at it, and game day's going to be there. It's going to be exciting. Coach Saban will be there, so.
Yeah, it'll be good. I definitely think it's going to be a really good game. I think it, look, if you look at over the last however many years we played these guys, it's never just going to be some convincing game where you just go. I mean, it's going to be a heavyweight matchup for sure. And I'm excited for it, man. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to probably be one of these close ones that might come down to a certain number of plays in it. And look, that's what you sign up for. But you're right. I did see that stat. Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban, they are tied in terms of their records through 2 years and having the opportunity to go to Atlanta and win the SEC championship game. So hopefully Kalen DeBoer can conquer that task. I mean, I know he's set for it. I mean, you can see it on him, man. I mean, they've worked for this moment, and I'd be shocked if they don't come out, they're ready to go. The biggest thing is who will be ready to go. And the reason I say that is we got a number of guys banged up, and so we'll have to monitor that. But it looks like Jam and Cuevas at least won't be available for this game. And Parker Brailsford, he's a little banged up too. So hopefully we can get him back as healthy as possible. But I'm excited for it, Bryce.
They have ruled Jam out.
They haven't officially ruled him out, but if I had to guess his status, I would probably say he's going to be doubtful and then maybe end up being ruled out later, or at least maybe as a game time decision, but not really having much confidence that he will be able. Again, that's just me speculating. I don't know yet.
Well, it looks good. We got a running game going into the ball games, which that's good. We found that looked good. I was impressed with that Saturday night, but man, my heart goes out to South Carolina, man. I watched that game, and I was thinking about your dad, man. I said, oh, man, I can't believe they're going to go out like this.
Yeah,
You know, I was rooting. It wasn't because I wasn't rooting for him, man. I was wanting them to beat Clemson, and then all of a sudden it just fell apart on them at the end. You know, very sad.
Hopefully they can.
Him?
No, I haven't talked to him, but hopefully they can figure something out for next season, man. I like Shane Beamer. I want him to do well, but unfortunately this year wasn't great for him. Bryce, we got to hit this final timeout.
Hey,
I appreciate you.
Man.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good to hear from you.
Bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good deal. That'll do it for us on this Victory Monday. Big thanks to all our listeners via Tide 100.9, YouTube on our stream, and Facebook as well. Big thanks to Chase and Reed behind the glass. And, hey, that's just the start of the week. We got plenty more coming your way this week. We got interviews lined up. We got a whole bunch of media and stuff we'll play leading up to the SEC Championship game, so be ready for that. Right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. We'll see you guys tomorrow.